Hello, Clash athletes. I am Mark Turner, USA Triathlon Commissioner of Officials. Please pay close attention to the contents of this rules briefing as it includes important rules information and procedures for on-course penalty notification, penalty structure, and draft zones for the Clash age group races. Athletes will be notified as soon as possible and safe to do so if they have received the penalty. Bike course penalties will be served in a designated penalty tent. All other penalties will be served on the course as stand downs. While in the penalty area, athletes may consume only those items they have with their bikes. Public urination or nudity of any kind will result in disqualification. If an athlete must relieve themselves, the timing device will be stopped and the athlete allowed to go to a suitable facility to do so before returning to serve the remainder of their penalty time. In keeping with World Triathlon International standards for sprint distance races, the bicycle draft zone for the sprint will be 10 meters long by 2 meters wide. This equals 5 bike lengths of clear space. Upon entering the draft zone of another cyclist, a maximum of 20 seconds will be allowed to pass through the zone of another athlete and complete the pass. The bicycle draft zone for the middle distance race will be 12 meters long. This equals 6 bike lengths of clear space. Upon entering the draft zone of another cyclist, a maximum of 25 seconds will be allowed to pass through the zone of another athlete and complete the pass. Age group athletes often move left well before they approach or enter the draft zone of the leading cyclist. Athletes must ride to the right and only move left in order to complete a pass. The athlete riding bike 2 in this illustration is out of position and in danger of incurring a blocking penalty, which would be a yellow card penalty. In this illustration, the athlete on bike 2 has entered the draft zone of bike number 1 and must complete the pass in 20 seconds in the sprint race and 25 in the middle distance race. There is only one exit once an athlete enters the draft zone of the cyclist in front, and that is out the front. Athletes who enter the draft zone and are observed backing out of the zone are subject to a blue card drafting penalty. You can see in this illustration, the gap is closed, there's no clear space, and 15 seconds has expired. The athlete riding bike number 2 has now completed the pass within the allotted amount of time, and now the athlete riding bike number 1 has lost the right of way and must completely exit the draft zone to the rear before attempting a repass. An athlete who is observed failing to drop all the way out of the draft zone before repassing may receive a yellow card penalty. Athletes observed being passed who fail to yield the right of way to the passing cyclist and immediately repass the overtaking cyclist are subject to a blue card drafting penalty. The motorbike draft zone is 15 meters long. All other vehicles, the draft zone is 35 meters long. Side-to-side riding once the trailing athlete enters the length of the leading cyclist draft zone is prohibited and may result in a drafting penalty. Athletes who ride left when there is room to ride right without having entered the draft zone of the leading athlete may incur a blocking penalty. For sprint and Olympic distance races, age group athletes accumulating 2 or more blue cards for drafting will be disqualified. For middle and long distance races, athletes accumulating 3 or more blue cards will be disqualified. Athletes who fail to stop as required prior to crossing the finish line are also subject to disqualification. Now let's review some general procedures. Athletes penalized on the course must stop on the course as required. If an athlete has been notified that they have received the penalty or believes they may have received the penalty, the athlete must check the penalty board near the penalty tent to confirm. Every effort will be made to notify all athletes subject to possible disqualification on site and prior to awards. Athletes facing disqualification will have a full opportunity to discuss the circumstances with the head referee for the event prior to a final determination of the penalty. Please review this chart for the race segment and where the penalty will be served. Please review this chart for water temperatures for legal wetsuit use. The following chart in Celsius will be used to adjust according to air temperature, wetsuit legal for water temperatures for age group athletes. If provided, a swimmer must wear the proper official swim cap corresponding to their wave. Wetsuits cannot exceed 5 millimeters of thickness. When the use of a wetsuit is prohibited, swimwear must be 100% textile material. And now, just a few reminders. During the swim, follow and complete the prescribed course in its entirety. Floating or artificial propulsion devices of any kind are forbidden. Start in your designated wave and not an earlier one. Using an inanimate object to gain forward progress is forbidden. Participants may use any stroke to propel themselves through the water. During the bike course, stay in coned lanes. Do not litter or discard gear along the course. Always ride in a safe manner, being careful not to create a danger to yourself or others. Obey all traffic laws unless otherwise directed by police or course monitors. Do not use or carry any sort of personal audio device. Cell phones being used as a tracking device or a cycling computer are allowed as long as they are not used in a distractive manner. No headphones are allowed anywhere on the course. During the run, no outside assistance, such as pacing by a non-participant, no use of personal audio devices, including bone conducting headphones, or receiving aid from someone other than race staff. If you have further questions about the age group competition rules for the Clash age group races, please do not hesitate to contact me at the information here.